Hello, and welcome to my thoughts while standing in the queue. The other day, I was standing in line at Starbucks for a cup of coffee, and I marveled at the choices I had. I could have a macchiato, I could have a latte, I could have an espresso, I could have a cappuccino. What is all that? All I really wanted was a cup of coffee. You know, that brown liquid, you take it in a pot and you pour it, and then I drink it black. Why? Coffee. What happened to that? And I thought about how we've lost the art of creating simple food. When I was a kid, which was back in the caveman days or the Stone Age, I took home economics, and in home economics they taught us to boil an apple, mash it up, pour in some sugar and some cinnamon, and whoops, there was dessert. If you wanted to do lunch, you took 2 pieces of bread, you smeared some peanut butter on it, added some mayonnaise, slap the bread together, cut it in half, and there you go, lunch. For dinner, all we had to do was take some minced meat and form it into patties, stick it under the broiler, we could do that, and then put it in a bun, put some mustard on the bun, close it, and there you had it, dinner. So simple. And I remember when I got married, I decided, okay, I'm going to be a gourmet cook. I'm not going to do just simple, plain things. I'm going to be a gourmet cook. I'm going to be a better cook than my mother. My mother was a genius in the kitchen who could come home at 5:30 and have a 3-course dinner plus an exotic dessert on the table by 6. But I figured, listen, I can do better than she did. I went to college. So I decided to go the whole 9 yards for Thanksgiving. In America, Thanksgiving the keynote of the dinner is a turkey. So I got myself a 20-pound turkey, and I looked at it, and it looked sort of gigantic. And I decided, well, I better put some stuffing in it. So when I looked in the cavity of the turkey, it had a lot of little packages in there, but I thought, well, maybe that's the way it is. I mean, my cavity has a lot of things in it, too. So I chopped up some bread and a little bit of celery, and I jammed all that in the cavity of the turkey, along with all those little packages. And then I smeared the turkey with some olive oil because I wanted to be healthy. This is in 1956, but even then I knew that. And I shoved the turkey in a pan that was a little bit too small for it, so it was sort of drooping over the side, and I shoved it in the oven. But the turkey was so big, and my oven was from the 1920s, so the oven wouldn't shut. But I turned the oven on high, and I figured, well, I'm putting the turkey in the oven at 7 in the morning. It should be done by dinner time, which was 7 at night. That's 12 hours. It should do it. And then I left to do my teaching and do the kinds of things that I did to try to support my husband while he went to business school, and I tried to be a good wife. When I came home at 5 o'clock, the turkey was still raw, and the kitchen was so hot that the chandelier had melted, the handle on the refrigerator was sinking to the left, and the table had tilted to the floor. That's how hot the kitchen was. I opened up the oven door, and I felt like I was in a sauna bath, and I tried to rotate the drumstick, because that's how you know whether a turkey is done. And it wouldn't move. So I put my foot against the stove, and I levered myself and tried to move it again, and it wouldn't move. So then I took a knife, and I jammed it into the turkey's breast, and I felt like I was doing some kind of horrible murder to this little bird, and a spurt of blood shot up and hit the ceiling of the kitchen and went all over the floor, and the place was just a complete mess, and the kitchen was so hot that blood actually sizzled and bubbled when it landed on the floor. So I called my mother. I said, listen, I'm having the worst time. I can't make this turkey get done. I can't. It's been in there for 12 hours. So my mother said to me, any fool can make a turkey. All you have to do is have a pan that's big enough and an oven that works. I said, well, I don't have either. She said, well, go to the store and get it. And besides, she said, if the oven door doesn't shut, have you ever thought of taping the oven door taping it shut. And I said, no, I didn't think of that. She said, well, that's what you have to do. She was right. I cut the turkey into pieces with a saw. I stuck it back in the oven, taped the oven shut, and also those little packages, I threw those out. And we had a sort of a Thanksgiving dinner at 11 o'clock at night that night. And then my husband filed for divorce proceedings. Problem is that my efforts of cooking are always doomed to failure. When I try to make rice, that's simple. It always ends up in sort of gummy balls. When I boil an egg, it always cracks in the water and it sort of goes out to the into the water in little clumps. I don't even want to discuss what I do with a souffle. So I'm saying to all you budding cooks, don't try to get fancy. It ruined my marriage. It changed my life. Try to keep it simple, just simple. If you want to give your family a nice dinner, get a little chicken, shove an apple up its ass, and shove it in the oven. It will work. If you need to have more to serve with it, instead of complicating things by boiling water and making vegetables, just tear up some lettuce, chop up some tomatoes, and add a little vinegar and oil, and whoops, there you've got dinner, and your marriage will be saved, your life will continue, and you will be a happy domestic person. And I want to thank you very much for joining me in my thoughts while standing in the queue.